Good afternoon. Welcome to APCUG's Wednesday workshop. Each workshop, a 2-hour period of time to focus on a specific topic. Today, we're here to talk about cutting the cord. We have 3 different presenters today, Rob Truman and Bill James and Sandee Ruth. Rob is a lifetime member of Computer Booters of Sun Lakes, serves on their board of directors as their web director. He has over 40 years of experience in information technology and interrelated fields. Rob is a retired U.S. Navy Chief Electronics Technician and has worked as a technical support professional for Microsoft over the years. Rob holds a Master of Arts degree in Adult Education and a Bachelor of Science degree in Information Technology. He is a staunch proponent of lifelong learning, as we all, that's why we're here, and runs a website blog called Geezer Tech, which focuses on helping the senior community with their technology needs. Rob also volunteers and teaches adult education technology classes through his local community college and their lifelong learning program called New Adventures in Learning. Bill first became involved in a PC user group back in '92 when he joined the Oklahoma PC Users Groups, now known as the Computer Club of Oklahoma City, to learn more about the computer he had just purchased. He's been a member of the club's board of directors since '98. He is currently on the club's board of directors and serves as the vice president of operations and the newsletter editor. He retired from the Federal Aviation Administration as a supply system analyst for the FFA Logistics Center in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, back in 2007, where he had worked for 38 years. In addition to frequently giving presentations on new software to his club, Bill is a member of the APCUG Speakers Bureau, specializing in Windows 10 and home automation, among other topics. Bill currently is serving as APCUG Regional 8 Advisor. Sandee is the president of the Lorain County User Group in Ohio. Yay, Ohio. She is a retired librarian. Sandee was a charter member of this group, started by the Lorraine Public Library back in 1980. Library users were coming to the library looking for help learning about those new home computers they were starting to appear. So the library helped a computer user group get off the ground. The group had over 300 members in its heyday. Sandee was always an officer in one office or another. She always had been interested in the latest gadgets and technology. The group shrunk as other area groups have gone out of business. She said they're glad to have access to Zoom meetings to help keep their group going. Sandee is a guardian ad litem volunteer, member of the DAR, and active in several genealogy groups, and is a grandmother to 4. They're all here to talk to us today about cutting the cord. And I know that we have over 200 people that must be interested in learning about this. So at this time, remember, if you have questions for the presenters, chat box, drop the list down, select Bill James, send him your questions. If you have problems with Zoom or questions about APCUG, you can send those to me. I'm John Kennedy, I'm your host. And at this point, I'm going to turn things over to Rob, and he's going to start us. You can unmute yourself.
It is a pleasure to do this for you guys today. Let me get to my presentation and we'll get things started. I didn't realize cord cutting was going to be this popular. I've been doing it what seems like forever, but actually probably just a little bit over a decade. Before we get started, I want to be sure we all understand one major concept, that what you want to watch on TV is a very personal choice. So what I find worthwhile, probably nobody else will. So as we go through this, kind of keep that, take it with a little bit of grain of salt, and we'll see if we can get you some information on how to move forward with this. Objective. First of all, What I'm going to try and do is give you an introduction to some of your available options when receiving television content via the internet. As I know personally, I got into this because I'm inherently cheap and I wanted to save money. Since that point, though, it seems to be less about saving money and more about just being able to have better choices on what I watch on television. So what does it all mean? Cord cutting. It is literally the simplest way to break free from long-term contracts, traditional pay TV sources. How you decide to do that is totally up to you. And for some, that may mean not paying anything for TV. It may mean going back to the old-fashioned and outdoor antenna, and that may be perfectly, and that may work for some people. For others, you may be paying for live TV services, such as Sling TV or YouTube TV. There is quite a big selection of different opportunities and choices. One of the biggest things I think people kind of question before they get ready to do this is, are you going to be missing anything? The majority of people who do the actual cord cutting say no, they don't. And if they do miss anything, it's broken down between live events, local and national news, and sports. Sports has always been, I think, one of the biggest subjects when it comes to keeping people from doing any type of cord cutting. But of recent, that has changed because there's just so much content available. It's not always about saving money, though. All right, it's still the reason I think most people start, but it's also about choices. Choosing to save money. When you get into cord cutting, you have greater portability. You're not tied down to one physical address. No contracts, no equipment fees, and no hidden costs. Those are the three big ones. As I like to say, those are the three big no's. You're no longer tied to annual contracts. You're no longer paying equipment rental fees, and you are no longer paying for taxes and state access fees, city access fees, so forth and so on. This is just a quick chart of kind of the difference between cable TV and actually streaming TV. Of course, the first thing that should stick out is the difference in cost. The next thing that you're probably going to notice is the total difference in channels. I have yet to talk to anyone that was able to watch 120 plus channels or 150 plus channels on a regular basis. And from back in the day when I actually subscribed to cable TV, I didn't understand why I was paying for all these channels, which I had no interest in whatsoever. So with streaming, there are no hidden fees. So what is streaming? Streaming it's a way of transmitting or receiving data, and we're talking usually video or audio over a computer network. Excuse me. It's a continuous flow that allows for accessing data while the rest is still being received. So in other words, you don't have to download a file before you can watch it or listen to it. There's primarily three types of programming. There's sports events, live programming, sports events, concerts, news, etc. Things that are actually broadcast in real time. Then you have linear programming. Linear is more of the traditional television network programming where things are scheduled, and if you want to watch it, then you need to be sure that you turn it on at the appropriate time. And then we have the new one on the block, and that's on demand. And these are more like from services of Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, so forth and so on. And it gives you the ability to watch what you want to watch when you want to watch it. You're not tied down to any type of schedule. And then, of course, there's a hybrid solution. And a lot of these services are going to that more and more these days. There's an additional category called AVOD. This is ad-supported video on-demand services. Probably the most common ones is the Roku channel, which you need to have a Roku device, Pluto, Tubi, and Peacock Plus, all basic. And you can take this, AVOD is essentially a not always free service, but a service that will provide content with commercials. The new person that we're expecting to see in this arena will be HBO Max. HBO Max is evidently going to be coming out with an AVOD type service. I don't expect it to be free, but it will be HBO content, but there will be ads. So streaming media players. You will need something to connect to, okay? So you can use a smart TV, there's Roku devices, Amazon Fire Sticks, Apple TV, and there's probably a good selection out there. It's just kind of depends on what it is you want. And personally, I have been locked into Roku probably since their very earliest days. One advantage to media players by smart TVs is that media players, well, first of all, they're small and compact, and they're easy to use at other locations. One thing that I have done in the past is I will take my Roku player with me when I go on vacation. I'll plug it into the back of the hotel TV, connect it to the hotel's Wi-Fi, and basically have the same thing I have here at home. So how do you pick a streaming service? If you don't get these links written down, don't worry about it. You can always contact me at my email address. I'll be happy to send you or you can get them off my website. There's a cord cutting resource sheet that I put out there. Cordcutting.com, they have a very good graph, and what it allows you to do is on the left-hand side of this graph, and I know you can't see it very well, but you can scroll down and find your favorite cable channel and then work your way across, and it will let you know what services will provide that channel for you. I highly recommend, because a lot of this is a mindset, and you need to kind of change how you are accustomed to thinking when it comes to TV broadcasting. I recommend you start thinking about shows and not channels. What shows do you want to watch? What do you enjoy watching? JustWatch.com is a streaming guide to where you can go in and you can enter TV show, movie, special, whatever you want. And it will tell you what streaming service is streaming that content. There's just tons of options. Netflix, a lot of these I've listed here are probably some of the most common and popular ones that have been around the longest. Roku claims to have over 8,000 television channels. And what you're going to find on a lot of these is there's a lot of subject-specific channels. So if you're a big fan of old black and white Westerns, there's a channel for that. If you like the old mysteries, there's a channel for that. If you are like myself, a documentary junkie, there's channels for that. So it just depends on what your interests are. So a lot of these are free, a lot of them, and some of them cost money. Cable replacement services. Cable replacement services, and I've listed the most common ones here, are literally what that says. It's like getting your typical cable TV via the internet. AT&T, Fubo, Hulu Live, Sling TV, and YouTube TV, and they're all cable replacement services. Those are, I just checked these prices yesterday. These are the current pricing structures, as well as the number of channels you get with them. And they all offer some sort of DVR, cloud DVR services, which I will address more here in a few minutes. Don't forget, if you're an Amazon Prime member, if you're not aware of it, you can watch movies and shows on Amazon Prime a lot because you're a Prime member. A lot of those are free. You can also subscribe to premium channels through your Amazon Prime membership. A lot of these will start as little as $5 a month. One thing that's, I think, worth noting, and I mentioned this a little bit before about no contracts. You can't really screw this up in essence that if I can go out and I can subscribe, there's something coming on HBO that I want to watch. All right, so I go and subscribe, pay my $15 and subscribe to HBO. All I've obligated myself for is a 30-day fee. So at the end of that, I can cancel HBO, and now there's something on Showtime that I want to watch. So I can subscribe to Showtime for a month. So I'm never locked into anything more for a longer period than 30 days. Public library. Hoopla Digital and Canopy are two apps that have arrangements through up to 1,600 public library systems in the United States. Check them out. You can check out DVDs, you can check out TV shows, audiobooks, so forth and so on. If you're not aware of what your library offers, I highly recommend you check it out. You will need a membership, and most libraries have a limit to the service. I know the one that I use here locally, I believe it's 10 items per month. So that's, I can stream 10 movies, 10 TV shows, whatever the case may be. Okay, let's talk about local channels. First of all, let's talk a little bit about antennas. Broadcast signals are superior to cable and satellite. It's just a fact because there's no compression. All the major networks transmit signals free over the air. And there are not only channels, there are also sub-channels. AntennaWeb.org. It's a great website. It will let you know what channels you should be able to receive from your address. You go to the website, you put in your address, hit enter, and it will show you what stations are available to you. Keep in mind that, and Anything coming across the air is a line of sight signal. Depending on your terrain around your house may affect what you're able to receive. And there is no such thing as a magic antenna. So when you see ads like this, buyer beware. Under the best of circumstances, and I don't care how much you pay for the antenna, the maximum you'll probably can expect to receive is 60 to 80 miles. An antenna that will give you, in this case, 1,180 miles is just a physical impossibility due to the curvature of the earth. Okay, you got a short little movie here. Let's see, I want to be sure we can.
All right, today we're going to show you how to take an ordinary paperclip and we're going to make a digital antenna out of it. Now, if you live pretty far away out of town, this may not work for you, but if you live pretty close to where you could at least pick up something, this should work. So you just bend it into sort of a, I don't know, something that looks about like that. It really, the shape doesn't matter. Then you take this and you put it in the back of your TV, and I'll show you. So we're going to do that now. So you come back here to where the coax connection is, which is that one right there. And then you just put this in place. Just like that. And then you come back to the front of the TV, and you can see we now have a picture. And depending on how you move your TV also will affect the signal, because now your TV is part of the antenna. So if you move it back and forth, you may find that in some areas you'll pick up different channels or something like that. It's just a small, cheap way to create a digital antenna. Good luck. Have fun watching TV.
Now, I am not recommending that you use a paperclip for an antenna, but you can pretty much make anything into an antenna. The other thing out there currently is Locast. This is the service that I use. One, I like supporting companies that are doing something different. Locast is a nonprofit. It's only available in certain metro areas, so you would have to check for your particular area. In my case, I get about 38 channels, and it's streamed across the internet. You can use this service for free and put up with the pop-ups, or you can make a $5 a month or $60 a year donation, and that's all you need. So I just like the service. Cloud DVR. I know I'm going to not get too deep into this, but all these services do offer you a DVR service. They all could have different pricing, different amounts of recording available. It's something to kind of test when you go through and you're looking at all the different free trials. And by the way, all of these services offer a free trial. And I highly suggest that you take advantage of those. Sharing, is it okay? Well, YouTube TV, if you purchase a YouTube TV membership, you can create a family group and share it with up to 5 people, no additional cost. Netflix is a whole different story. They're getting a little bit unreasonable, in my opinion, because what they say is that it can be shared with individuals in your household. I'm never sure what that means. I'm never sure what my household is. So does my son, who lives across the town, he's still part of my household? So anyway, I leave that up to your decision. But let's face it, most people are sharing these services. And I think these companies will have a real problem in trying to stop that from happening. So tips and tricks. 6 steps to cut the cord. Choose your antenna device. This is important. Make a list of your gotta-haves. Go through what you're currently watching the most. Make a list so you know what it is that you're going to be the most happy with. Do your research. Choose your viewing device. You're going to use a streaming device. You're going to do this on your smart TV, whatever you decide to use. Then you can call the cable company, and then you can calculate all this money you're going to save, if any at all, because some people don't. I mean, it's just, for some, it's just not a good move. And by all means, do not forget the free trials. Sports. All of these cable replacement services have a certain amount of sports included with their basic packages. And there are, of course, add-ons. You can add on probably anything like this. I just recently got a subscription to MLB, partly because T-Mobile gave it to me for free for a year. So just depends on what your interest level is and what it is you want to watch. Most important thing is don't rush into this. Take your time. Only subscribe when you need it. Don't overpay for your internet. We're gonna talk a little bit about internet speeds here shortly, and probably most of you already have more than adequate internet speed to do this. And do your research. So how to do it. Internet speed. This kind of gives you an example of what type of internet connection speed you need depending on the service that you're using. And as you can see, the higher the resolution or content resolution, the more internet speed you need. Most people are perfectly happy in that center column using just high def. And for Netflix, that's 5 megabits per second. So, doesn't require a lot. Now, of course, if you have a large household and you got people streaming content on different devices all at the same time, then your requirement's going to move up. You can use this website, speedtest.net, to check your internet speed. And what my recommendation is, do this on a Wi-Fi connection. So you can do it on a smartphone, a tablet, whatever you like, and do it from different locations in your house. And just kind of see what kind of speed you're getting. Now, if you're paying for 40 megabits per second from your internet provider or whatever it is you're paying for, and you're only getting a small amount of that when you run speed tests, then you probably need to be getting on the telephone and figuring out what's going on. So how do you hook it up? If you're using a smart TV, and my definition of a smart TV is essentially a TV that I can connect to the internet. All I need to do is that, connect it to the internet, and smart TVs already have apps built in. Now, if I'm using a non-smart TV, and so I will be using a streaming device, Roku, Fire Stick, whatever it may be, and then I hook that into an HDMI port and then connect the streaming device to a Wi-Fi. I can also use a streaming device on a smart TV should I so desire. And the reason that you may want to consider this is that when you buy your smart TV, it comes pre-installed with a certain amount of apps. As new apps become available, TVs don't always get updated as fast as the streaming device does. So you can do what's called screen mirroring, and this is literally the easiest way there is as far as to cut the cord. And that's just to pump whatever's on your laptop or your desktop over to your TV. And all you need to do that is an HDMI cable. And therefore, whatever's on your laptop, you will see on your TV. And that is capable of just for whatever the cost of an HDMI cable is. There's also wireless screen mirroring, and that just about every smart TV out there today has one of these built into it. There's some sort of mirroring technology that you can use with either a smartphone, a tablet, but not all devices play well together. It's something you're going to want to test and see how it works for you. I get asked a lot, so what is it? How much money am I spending? Well, here's my plan. This is what I do. Now, I get a Netflix subscription included with T-Mobile. So I'm not paying anything for Netflix. And that kind of gives you the breakdown. Everything on the right are all free services. So that, you break that down a month, that's less than $50 a month. And of course, I'm not including my cost of my internet connection. Maybe you don't want to go the full bore. You just want to get a trim instead of a full cut. Then figure out how you're going to get your local channels, whether it's through basic cable or you're going to use Locast or an antenna, whatever your choice is, and then just add something else to it. Subscribe to HBO or Netflix or Amazon Prime if you're not already subscribed, and see what that content offers you. My website, geezertech.us, the link at the bottom there is this cord cutting resources. If you don't get around to writing that down and you want it later, email me. I'd be happy to send it to you. And that kind of wraps up the show.
Thanks, Rob. Lots of good information. I also want to remind everyone that you will receive Rob's PowerPoint or his presentation in that email so that you'll have it to review at your pleasure. All right, so now I think we'll turn things over to Bill James, and he's going to talk to us about his experience in cutting the cord.
Thanks, John. Good morning, everyone. I prepared some slides here, and my experience is rather similar to Rob's, but I had a different objective when I started doing this. So I might overlap some of the things he said, but I'm totally in agreement of what he said. There are some challenges I found with streaming content on the internet. And one of the things is that you want to be sure that you have adequate bandwidth, because that really can destroy your experience because you're constantly being forced with buffering. So that's something that you should take in consideration. That's something I thought about when I was doing it. I already had a pretty good, I had already subscribed to the highest speed that was available from my provider, which is Cox Communication here in Oklahoma. So I didn't make any changes to that. But one of my objectives was, of course, at first was cutting cost, having freedom of choice, and finding a cable replacement service. This is the thing that I was really kind of concerned with. This was my bill in the same time period in 2020. And as you noted, for my TV, I was paying $110. The rest of that, of course, is my internet and telephone. And they did give me some bundles, savings of $20, but nevertheless, I had close to a $300 bill from my provider. So I thought I could really reduce the TV part by completely eliminating it and then going to streaming. And as you can see, those charges basically were based on the Cox starter and their Contour Flex, which is the two plans that they have, and they're kind of combined. And then out of that, I had to add sports and news, because one of my things I wanted was cable news, and it was unavailable unless I took the sports package. And then, of course, there was a cost for the receiver, and I had two because I had two televisions, and I wanted to have access to cable on both TVs. And then, of course, I had a DVR, and that was because of the receiver that I had required me to take this particular package. And then they threw in the protection plan. So all total, and then there was this broadcast surcharge. All total for my TV was $110.48. So between the getting the extra tier for the news channel, which included sports, which I didn't have much interest in, and the equipment rental, I thought I could possibly get rid of that. So what I did in fact get rid of the $110 charge. And so my cable bill then went, my provider bill then went down to about $200. So I did save close to $100 in getting rid of the TV. Now, the thing that was that I had to also take in consideration, it's like, this is what I had. I had 3 TVs, 1 computer that needed to be connected. 2 were on Cox, and the 2 others were on YouTube TV, which I was already subscribing to. I also had an iPad, a laptop computer, and a smartphone. And you ask, well, why are you considering the iPad and laptop computer? Well, occasionally I like to go out, well, more than occasion in the summer particularly, I'll take the laptop or my iPad out to my patio and I'll watch TV from there. So as Rob was mentioning about the portability, that's my take on portability. So I use the iPad and the laptop, or sometimes I'll even use my smartphone, depending on where I am, to be able to get TV content. So it was really a challenge of finding something where I could get all my devices to share the same content without renting any additional hardware or incurring any additional subscriber cost. So I already had these items available to me. I had a Roku streaming device that was on the TV that was a non-smart TV. And I had a smart TV, which has Chromecast. And I also had already, prior to cutting the cord, I had these particular apps that I was already subscribed to. I had Netflix. I'd had Netflix for years before they even went to the streaming service. They were sending out DVDs, and I would play them on my DVD player. But I'd like to share something to you. Is before I retired, I had began accumulating laser discs, because I thought that back in the day, and this was going back probably 10, 15 years prior to my retirement, I had purchased a laser disc player, and I thought, I'm going to accumulate a library of laser discs, and I'm going to keep those. That's what I'm going to enjoy my spend my idle time with, watching movies and such. And of course, as one might expect these days, I didn't expect at the time, the technology changes. And so as a result, when I bought my large screen TV, to my dismay, my Laserdisc player no longer worked on that television. So I still have probably close to 200 Laserdiscs and a Laserdisc player, which I cannot use. But I found that I can stream all the content that I had accumulated through Laserdiscs now on demand by using the combination of the things I have here. So I currently have Netflix, I have Amazon Prime, I have a combo deal with Hulu, with Spotify, that gives me access to Hulu. I subscribe to BritBox, YouTube Premium, Disney Plus, and I have a PBS Passport. So what I really needed was a cable replacement. And after doing some research, I looked at Sling. I also looked at Hulu as well. But I decided that YouTube TV would probably be my best option. So what I did is that when I was put in my zip code, which shows me what the lineup of channels that are available to me in my area. And as you can see, and I'm going to show you a demo, is that I can get the local channels on live TV, such as NBC, ABC, and CBS, and they're coming through our local TV channels. So hopefully I can make this work. So this is YouTube TV. Can everyone see that? Are you able to see this?
Yes.
Okay. So this is YouTube TV, which I'm actually displaying on a computer I have in my kitchen. And I frequently use this as my TV. It's a computer that has a 24-inch screen, but it makes a very nice TV as well, utilizing YouTube TV. Now, this is the home screen. As you can see here, it has already gave me some top picks. And then if I have not completely watched any of these have been captured on the built-in DVR. So I can go back and catch up where I left off. I put these on pause, probably I didn't finish it. So I can go there and look at finishing up these particular ones that I haven't completed. And then of course, they always suggest different movies and things, and these are all free that you can watch. Now, on the live side, this is where your local TV channels, these are what's taking place at the very moment, like on NBC, the Rachel Ray Show, the Dr. Oz, the Young and the Restless. And these are all the channels that I can receive in my area using YouTube TV. There's, as I said, there's 84 channels, and probably more than that, but 84 is what's been identified. But as you can see, there is a lot of content here that I get just for $69, as opposed to what I was paying for with Cox. So in my mind, this actually filled the bill. I got my news channels as part of the package. It wasn't a separate tier I had to take in order to do that. I can also have my library here where I can save things, the ones that that show up at my library, most watched, schedule recordings, etc. So as far as I'm concerned, YouTube TV really has kind of filled the bill as far as being able to do a replacement of a TV replacement. So I get these local channels. Now, I cannot get off the air programming using without an antenna. So on one of my TVs, I do have an antenna, and that will give me the local content. And if you're like other places, the digital, when TVs went to digitalize, they broke up a lot of channels into sections. So here in Oklahoma City, besides having channel 4, I also have channel 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. And those sub channels are only available using an antenna. So as Rob explained, over-the-air TV is the high-definition broadcast from your local television station in my area. And you can only enjoy those if you have a digital antenna. So just kind of keep that in mind. But digital antennas are fairly inexpensive. And of course, that fellow that used the paper clip is an option you might want to try. So, but getting it connected is that on the back of your TV, you'll see something that says antenna in. On any digital ready TV, you just place the antenna on the wall, window, attic, wherever you have an optimal position. And then you click on the scan for channels in the menu on your TV, and it will pick up all those channels. Right now, YouTube TV has a promotional going. It's $44 for the first month if you're not a current subscriber. And you can check that out at tv.youtube.com. There hasn't been any limit as far as time frame. And on this ad, they are saying it's $64.99. I believe it's up to $69 dollars now. It's almost $70 because they have had an increase in their pricing. But so far, it's still lower than I was paying for my cable. And so I think I've really probably netted maybe $50, $60 a month savings from cutting the card. So that's my experience with going through that exercise. And I've been really happy and haven't missed anything from getting rid of the cable. John?
Okay. Thank you for sharing with that. I know that there'll be a number of questions that we'll answer after Sandee. So if you do have questions, remember, you can send those to Bill James. Go to your chat drop down box and put those in. All right, saving the best for last. Sandee is going to share. I put her on the spot. She's going to share with us her switch over to Locast. And I'm jealous because even though I'm not that far from Columbus, Ohio, which is a major residential area, I have no access to it. So Sandee's going to talk to us about Locast. So you can go ahead and share with us.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to go over my cord cutting experience, which includes Locast, which we only got here in the Cleveland area like a month ago. But I've been waiting for it. So I'm going to give a little overview of what I've done since the end of 2018 when I first started to explore or started cutting. I'm blocking myself. Okay. I'd already been using streaming apps before I started thinking of cutting the cable TV. And I've been using Roku with my Spectrum cable TV because I found they had added an app that could be accessed on the Roku device that let me not use the Spectrum equipment. So I didn't have to have a little box for every TV and so on and so forth. All I had to do was load that app on the Roku on any TV in my house, and the Spectrum things came through that. So I had Roku on 2 TVs, and I had Amazon Fire Sticks on 2 other TVs. So I had been using these kind of things. I thought I would be using a Hulu Live TV or YouTube, which he just talked about, or maybe AT&T Live TV service. And at that time, they were about $40 a month. And I thought, oh, I'm going to wait and experiment with what is out there. And now they're up to at least $65 a month. And I still haven't gone to one, and I can explain why. Though there's something like Sling that has 3 levels starting at a $30 cost, but I don't believe they get local channels. I think that's still the case. I was paying Spectrum about $159 a month, and that included a phone, which I did not use. I had gone entirely to a cell phone or a couple of years before this. And when they sent me a phone in a package, when they gave me a new account, I never even took it out of the box because I didn't want it. Internet access and cable TV. Well, then WOW came into our city, another cable company, and they wired the whole city. Now, Spectrum had competition in our city, and they were going around offering nice specials. So they were offering internet access only for $29 a month for the first year, $39 a month for the second year, which was less than half what I was paying Spectrum. So I thought, well, now's the time to move on and do something. So, and before I left Spectrum, I went through my DVR and made a list of everything I recorded. And those were the things I routinely watched to see what channels I thought I might, want to make sure I included when I made my new choices. I had also been using an antenna for a while, but my antenna, I don't know if it's pointing the wrong way or what, but I'm only getting channel NBC and ABC and some of the sub channels. I cannot get CBS or some of the other good ones. And it's all about location, location, location. My brothers both live in the county, and they get tons of practically every over-the-air channel available. But I don't. I actually called one company that put up antennas, and he said, oh, I can come out to your city and install an antenna and guarantee you'll get every channel for $650. And I thought, well, let me think about that. And then Sling TV had a deal where they would come out and install a TV on your house for $150 because it would make you want to get their sling cable service because they don't offer antennas. But when the fellow came to my house, he said, you have too many trees. This antenna probably won't work for you. I live on a street called Woodhill. And the trouble was the trees that are interfering with my line to the broadcasting place, the trees are in the neighbor's yard. But I did add a Tableau DVR to my antenna, and I still use it. This enabled me to get antenna channels on all 4 of my T's through the Tableau app, and I didn't have to run wires from the antenna to each of the TVs. I usually only watch over-the-air stations that I have recorded so I can fast forward. So this was a great deal, except it only gave me primarily NBC and ABC. It wouldn't let me access, again, CBS. This is the Tableau live TV that I get, and you can see like 3.1, 3.2, 3.3 and everything. And a lot of these sub-channels don't come in very clearly. And they're so full of commercials that it makes me impatient to watch them. And then where I have the orange showing, those are things that I have selected to record every day. And then I just go through them at the end of the day. What I don't watch, I delete so it doesn't take up room. This is the Tableau, the name of the DVR I use on the antenna. And there are others, but I chose the Tableau. And these are the shows that I've recorded. And I can click and watch, go back and watch any of them anytime. And sometimes I just, like I've got several of this channel or that, and then I just say delete all. But like, was it Bill mentioned, I've been using Netflix since it was red envelopes back, and it was even cheaper than $8.99, I think. So I kind of don't count what I pay for Netflix because I've always had it. And Amazon Prime, I've had that service since back when it first started, and it was only free 2-day delivery. And now it does bring to you ebooks, music, movies, TV for more money, but that's been a long time part of my choices. I think I mentioned I have a Roku on 2 TVs and Fire Sticks on 2 other TVs, though I think my granddaughter took 1 Fire Stick home. I've got to round that one back up. So depending on these streaming devices was nothing new. Like has been mentioned, there are smart TVs, but my main TV in the family room is not as smart. Well, it's supposed to have some elements of smart, but it never amounted to anything. And to be honest, I don't think I'd want a smart TV because, like he mentioned, they don't get updated as well as some of the other ones do. And I was at my daughter's trying to look at something on her TV, and that was a smart TV. And I said, well, how do you add a new app, and what do you do this and that? And she wasn't even sure how to do it. I hope there'll be dumb TVs available when I have to replace this. I also have a Chromecast. I used to have the original Comcast on a TV, and then it would let you, I call it shoot from my laptop up to the TV, anything I have on pretty much anything I have on my laptop. Well, then they came out with this Chromecast voice remote, and they're in pastel colors. So I thought that was cute. So I got this color, and it lets me with the remote do everything I can do with the Fire Stick and the Roku. And actually, it kind of integrates everything into one big menu and makes it more appealing, I guess. So that's the Chromecast with Google TV device right there. And it tends to be the one I grab the most, though I also have a Fire Stick on this main TV, and I can watch that. These are some of the smaller package streaming packages that I've either have now or have had, and tried and not tried. The most expensive one is HBO Max, and I'm not sure I'm going to keep that one. And I added the CBS All Access, which is now Paramount, because it would give me the channels on CBS, which I can't get on my antenna. And then as the other gentlemen have mentioned, there's the free apps. Here, you know, it's just watching YouTube. You don't have to pay anything for that. Though they have one that for $10, they have a version that will give you, take out the commercials. And then they have the cable replacement package that's over $60. I also use Hoopla and Canopy, which was mentioned, and they come through your library. Yay, libraries. And I use Movies Anywhere in Vudu. And I won't go into a lot of in depth, but if you own a DVD or you buy a digital copy online, you can have them congregate and all show up at these services. And then you can pick and choose to watch any of the movies you own at any time. And I have about 50 or so movies there. And then the Locast. That has, just like I said, become available in our area in the last month or so. They stream internet over to select cities, and there are over 30 areas now. And my area is the Cleveland area, and we just got access. You don't have to pay $5 a month, but they have little nags that pop up way too frequently that say, wouldn't you like to donate to the service? And they can be very annoying. So, and if you enjoy the service, it's certainly worth $5 a month, I figure. There are concerns about its maintaining its nonprofit status, which is what has let it continue so far. If you're familiar, there used to be a service out there. It was being tested in some cities called Aereo, and it was a commercial product, and it had to be shut down because of copyright infringement lawsuit. And Locast feels that if they can keep their nonprofit status, they will prevent having to be closed. So it's continuing to grow. They're adding areas all over the country. Even in Puerto Rico, they have an availability. So I think it's worth it. My antenna does not even receive the sub channels very well. So like I said, I use it mostly for NBC and ABC. The Locast gives me 64 channels, including ABC, CBS, NBC, CW, Fox, and several PBSs. And Locast can be used by one account can be used by 4 simultaneous users on unlimited number of devices. So technically I can have it on all my TVs, on my laptop, on my phone, whatever. It shows up as an app on each TV, just as the Tableau does. This is what it looks like when you go into Locast. So it's your 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, and then your shows. And as they come up, you can click on it and watch it from wherever you are. And it's working very well. It gives me more channels than the antenna, if that's entirely what I was relying on. So then I went looking for something to give me the DVR option that I had become so used to and dependent on with the Tableau for my antenna. And I decided to try this app called Streamium. It had formerly been called Fitzy. And I thought, okay. So I downloaded the Streamium and set it up and pointed to my Locast account. And this service for $5 a month gives me 25 hours of storage. And so I've installed it and I'm currently trying it out. It goes up to $20 a month for 100 hours storage, but I definitely wouldn't need that. I mostly just record the news and so on. And if I don't finish it that day, I delete it. So Streamium, on top of giving me the ability to record shows, gives me an additional 90 sub-channels, if you can believe it. I don't even know. I'm not going to live long enough to watch all this. So this is an example of the Streamium from my computer. I went to the website and pulled this up. And if I click on the heart, it puts it into a favorites list, which is very useful because there's so many channels that if you can say, just show me a dozen or two, it's more manageable. And from the TV, if I have the Streamium app showing, I can click on a show and it comes up and says, do I want to record this episode? Do I want to record the series, or do I want to remove it from favorites? So it's fairly straightforward and seems to do its job. So my antenna gives me 20 or 30 channels, but only 2 of them are things significant. Locast gives me 64 over-the-air channels, and Streamium gives me 155, which is 90 more than Locast. So this is like I said, more than I can imagine. This is an example of the screen on my TV. When I pick up one of my remotes and press the home button, it says, okay, what do you want? Your Netflix? Do you want your Prime Video? You can see the tableau, which would take me to my antenna choices, has its own little button there, as well as down here. It has the little icon for Locast. Click on that and I'm there, or the Streamium. Or I can look at the Pluto or the Tubi or all the other ones, but this is primarily the type of menu that comes up with your device. I also use Just Watch, which Bob mentioned, where you can go in and you almost need something like this. You think of a movie you want to watch, and where is it? There's so many choices. So you go, I go in and I click and selected all the services out there that I might have access to that I wanted them Just Watch to search. And then here's an example of a search for Princess Bride. And it's telling me I can watch it now if I have access to Disney or Hulu for free. Here it says I can rent it for $3.99 from these 3 services, or I can buy it for varying prices here at these services. And so I know, okay, those are my choices if I want to watch Princess Bride right now. And if I buy the movie, then it's going to appear on my app with my app that's Movies Anywhere and Vudu, or it depends on what company owns the movie where it's allowed to go. I also use Android app APK for movie access, and I'm not going to go into this because some people aren't comfortable with it and some people are, but I've used the Cinema HD APK, and it lets you have to jailbreak a Fire Stick to do it. And there's a site called troypoint.com for one that will take you through the steps. But like I said, some people think it's crossing the line and some people don't. My son-in-law, who cut the cord and went with the Hulu cable replacement service, has reported that he's no longer has access to the sports he likes to watch. And what I went to do research, I don't watch sports. I find that it's now a lot of the rights to the major sports is owned by Bally's Casino. And here's a story from Howard Clark, is it Clark Howard, on streaming TV and why it's going to be so difficult to watch the major league games. And it's going to cost extras, no doubt. So I sent this to him to contemplate. And the one thing I miss on when I cut the cord, because I did not go with the replacement, one of the big replacement packages, was the cable news. There are some apps for the cable news, but they're like yesterday's shows and you only get part of it and so on. But I did discover I can watch my favorite cable news shows. Or I can listen to my favorite cable news shows on TuneIn through Alexa. I just have to say, Alexa, play Rachel Maddow on TuneIn, and she starts.
Playing the Rachel Maddow
Oh,
show from
there she's she's going to do it for us.
Here's episode 53.
And I can listen to the show, and if it's currently going on, I hear the whatever show it is currently. Alexa, stop. So that has been a suitable replacement for getting cable news for me. So I guess that's most of what I have, and I'd be glad to entertain questions at the appropriate time. So
Okay.
back to John.
Okay, thank you so much, all three of good presentations. And as a reminder, each of you will get a copy of each of their presentations along with the actual recording and any kind of questions and comments that come up. At this time, what we're going to do is I'm going to turn things over to Bill. Bill has been collecting the questions that have been submitted through the chat box, and you can still, submit some. And Bill then will read the questions and direct them to the other panelists, or whoever can answer it, and we'll go from there. So, Bill, this is your ball game now.
Thanks, John. Our first question is from an individual that lives in Canada. And the question is this info more for the USA than Canada? My answer to that would be, I would think not. I think you can find something very similar in the Canada market as we have here, and use some of the same tools, not maybe necessarily the exact ones we're using, but at least go through the same exercise. Sandee or Rob, do you have a comment on that?
I think it's different. Yeah, I doubt if they can do everything, but maybe some.
For a lot of the major services, so for Netflix, the major streaming services, I believe theirs are worldwide. Now, what you'll find though is that what's available via Netflix in Canada and what's available via Netflix in the United States may be two different sets of content. Now, sometimes you can get around with that by using a VPN.
Right.
So
That's one way also that I never tried it, but I understand you can get Locast in your area if it's not there by using a VPN and telling it you're somewhere else.
Well, I personally, I like watching Canadian TV. I like some of the programming they have, but you can't set up an account unless you're in Canada. So I used a VPN to tell it I was in Canada, got my account, and then after that, I can log in with the appropriate username and password from that point on.
Yeah.
So.
Our second question is long, so I think we can answer it, but at least have an idea. But what he's saying, he was using a Roku Express in lieu of renting a remote cable box from Comcast. And after being installed, he was able to select the cable icon of the Roku streaming service. The cable icon allowed him to watch Comcast channels and DVR recordings via his Roku remote, including being able to fast forward and do all those things. Then last week, he installed a new voice-controlled Roku streaming device, And now he's no longer able to access his Comcast services. He then removed the new Roku, but the old one now no longer works with Comcast as it did before. So he only has access to streaming. His question is, what do I do to get back to using my original Roku Express to access my Comcast icon and Comcast channels? My first thought is you have to register your Roku devices. So maybe the one that you're trying to, the old one is, you haven't unregistered the new one, so it thinks that you are trying to use it. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I just did a search here. It looks like they have Xfinity has a new beta app for the Comcast server. So you can try that and install that app and see if that gets you back to where you want to be.
But make sure you check and see if you have that that new device still registered. You have to, I think it's deactivate is what it's called, but you can go into the app and deactivate it and then install the new one and see if that puts you back to where you were.
Yeah, it sounds like that would be likely, that there's the program itself hasn't been updated to handle the new remote. And so I'm sure they're discussing that out on the discussion boards. And maybe even Comcast will help, because they knew I was using this app. They put it forward as an alternative. So I don't know if they'll support this hang up. They might.
There's a lot of articles out there concerning Roku and Comcast and various contract negotiations. So this may have nothing to do with his device or her device, and maybe more related to who's not getting the money they want to get.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
So.
But yeah, that's got to be frustrating, because if you were relying on that to watch your cable TV, you need to have it working.
Our next question is, when connecting a TV through a computer via HTML, is the TV resolution display quality limited to the speed compatibility of the computer? So if I have a underpowered old PC, will it cause slips, blips, breaks, or whatever the term, buffering in the video display on the TV?
Possibly.
Yeah.
This one's kind of hard to answer, Bill, because the computer has to process the data. Therefore, if you are working with a limited amount of RAM on that computer, it's going to have to work harder, use more resources before it ever gets to the TV. A lot of it will depend on the content that you're trying to stream.
Right. There's some variables that are depends on the display, that if you're going to get the best signal that the laptop is going to provide. I guess that's probably a better question. So there's not really a good answer to that other than just playing around with it, I would think, or upgrading the laptop that you're going to use. The next question is, I have an HDMI cable, but the ends don't fit into my MacBook Pro.
You can buy an adapter.
does the Mac Pro have many HDMI ports on it?
It either has a mini or it has a display port. And and if it's either way, you can buy an adapter from Amazon or something and to convert it to a standard HDMI.
Right. The display port, correct me, Rob, if I'm wrong, one edge of it is flat. Or
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, it's not, it looks like a malformed HDMI
yeah.
plug.
And it's Apple's version of now you need to buy something from us again.
What about using an iPhone to hook into a non-smart TV away from home to connect my YouTube TV account?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're using. Okay, whether iPhone, Android, tablet. Okay. What I've done in the past is I had to take a Roku stick with me when I travel. And then I just plug that into the back of the hotel TV, connect to the hotel's Wi-Fi. And so whatever I'm subscribed to on that Roku device, I now have access to. I don't know if that helps answer that question, but.
Now, the other thing, and I can't remember, I guess you do have to have a smart TV to be able to cast to it, right?
Unless you can use a Roku device, like a Roku stick, and that will act as a casting device. Okay, in other words, so I can cast something from a cell phone or a tablet to a Roku stick.
And it doesn't matter whether it's iPhone or Android
Not
phone.
really.
It'll work
Not
on
really.
both because the casting symbols will be on the, it's in the application.
Exactly.
Okay. When running the speed test, does it depend on how many devices are Wi-Fi active at the time of testing? That's a good question. Anybody?
I would guess yes.
Because it's all taking part of your bandwidth. So
Right.
What speed you're getting is dependent on what's using the bandwidth at the time. Suppose go ahead.
Yeah, I always recommend people, if you're interested in finding out about your speed, okay, I recommend not only doing this in multiple locations in your home, but also at different times of the day. And kind of just, make a little chart so it gives you a nice overview of what you're receiving and compare that to what you're paying for. And I know some people don't like having their modem where they can see it, and that will affect your speed. Generally speaking, your modem / router should be up high. And if you can have it in the center of your house, that even works better. They're just little, and this is just radio frequency stuff.
And also helps if you reboot your modem router occasionally which will help some with the speed as well. Suppose.tv is a good site to find programming you want on streaming devices. It has the program prices, device supported that you need. That was just a comment. I have an older, larger antenna in the attic from 40 years ago. will it work, or is it configuration for digital TV require different configuration? You
It'll
need a
work
digital-
just, it'll work just fine.
You do not need a digital antenna?
No, actually, I had an old set of rabbit ears that I hooked up and it worked just fine.
Okay,
So antenna is an antenna, you know, I mean,
All right.
whether it's a paper clip or you just, you know, stick a piece of wire out from the back of your TV, you will get something. Now, the better quality of antenna, you will get more. But, you know, it's kind of, what I usually recommend people just run down to Walmart, pick up a $20 antenna, bring it home, test it. If you like it, great. If you don't, then take it back.
all right. So go ahead and try your old antenna first and see if it works before you go out and buy a new one.
Exactly. Yeah.
What is the difference between a Wuku versus a Chromecast?
Not much anymore.
Yeah, with
No.
this new one, I don't even think about which one I have in my hand. They both work pretty much the same.
Now,
The
the old
original-
one, yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, the original Chromecast was for sending content from a mobile device
Right.
to a TV.
Exclusively, yeah.
That's all it did.
Right.
It was along the same lines, another device is Miracast. So it was strictly for sending content, you know, onto a larger screen. The newer ones, I believe, as you were saying, Sandee,
Yeah, it works the
they
same.
have channels and, you know, so.
Yeah.
Oh, so when you hear the word casting, that means you're actually sending content from a mobile device to, well, between two devices, doesn't matter whether it's mobile,
Right.
whatever, but usually if you have an iPad or iPhone or Android tablet, within the app itself, you'll see a little symbol. And if you click on that symbol, then that will initiate the
Right.
handshake between the other device. All right. Sandee, this is for you. Does the Tableau DVR recording also record all the commercials you don't like?
What you don't like? It records the commercials. Now, it's supposed to, on certain shows, you can choose to skip commercials, but I find that works pretty flimsily. So I just end up fast forwarding through them, but and some shows will not allow the company to offer fast forwarding through their commercials, I understand. But yeah, Tableau is supposed to have a skip commercial function, and it might be because my antenna reception is flaky. It doesn't work well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the next question I think we've answered. How do I connect an iPad to the TV? You know, there's a number of ways you can use the casting that we talked about earlier, or you can just get an adapter and plug it directly into the TV with a cable.
Bill, I'll go ahead and mention this because most Samsung TVs, most Samsung smart TVs already have a wireless mirroring technology built in that will work with all Apple devices or Android devices. It's just a matter of a little self-education and getting it to work.
All right, and then I've also used an app that I've downloaded from either I guess it was from the Google Play Store, was one. I'm pretty sure the Apple Store has one also where it has some mirroring software you can use.
Mm-hmm.
how are mesh routers connected with Wi-Fi providers? There's really no difference. I mean, a mesh router is just a type of router. It just replaces the standard router that you have in your network. So it's not anything particularly different about it. You just end up with more little with what they refer to as nodes, which those connect to each other, not necessarily your provider. You're going to have the wire coming from your provider to one of the nodes, and then it's going to broadcast to the other. That's my understanding. Other comments?
No, not really. That's,
Yeah.
I think, right on.
Okay. Are repeaters being considered to get the antenna signal to areas too far from broadcast locations?
Not that I've heard.
How hard is it to get a view of what is available on all the channels you like? Can you set up automatically recording to your DVR?
All right. To me, that's a hard question. Okay, because one, it depends on the service you're using.
Yeah.
Depends on the channels you like. But generally speaking, and we'll just use the example what you use, Bill, and that's YouTube TV. Anything that I receive over YouTube TV, then I can utilize their cloud DVR service with. Now, if it's coming from a different source, then the answer is no. Okay, so I can't necessarily record content, a signal coming across an antenna using YouTube cloud DVR.
You know, it's different from using the one that's like the one I had. I never used my DVR. I was paying for something I really never used, but I could, if I wanted to, I could select 6 different programs to record at one time. And I don't think I am able to do that with my YouTube DVR. I think it's just one channel at a time. But I do notice that if I happen to start watching something and put it on pause, it'll record that. And I could go to another program and do the same thing. And so those ones will record in that manner, but I don't think I can just go in and select them in advance to do it.
Now, as long as we're talking DVRs, a lot of these services, and you'd have to check on which ones, okay, are incorporating a 72-hour look back. And so in other words, what that means is that I don't care what channel it is, you can go back up to 72 hours and watch anything in those past 3 days on that channel that has been broadcast. So it is a pseudo type DVR. It's just, you can't program it, but it's always available. So if you're getting 65 channels off YouTube TV and YouTube TV is incorporating this technology, you got a 72-hour time frame that you can go back and watch something that you missed.
It's a good answer. I
think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. But you cannot set automatic recording if that's the answer that if that's what you're asking. If you elect to drive the TV via an internet-connected PC, can you put a large hard drive in the PC and get a DVR app that works with the other apps? I think you need some software to make that work.
Well, you can do this the old-fashioned way, okay? If you got an older desktop, you can actually put in a PC tuner card, but you need to have an antenna source feeding that card. And from that, you could run a regular DVR. I'm not sure where the advantage of that would be.
Yeah, I agree. I have multiple TVs in the household. How best to stream? Will I need to keep the Wi-Fi box from the cable company?
Oh, Wi-Fi box.
Yeah, the answer would be yes. You need the Wi-Fi in order to get the stream over the internet. So when I did mine, I got rid of all my hardware that I had gotten from the cable company, and I was just left with well, I also have a telephone that's part of their deal. So I have a VoIP phone, which is provided by Cox, and then I have my internet. And usually those modems, the telephone and the TV stuff is all together. So what they'll do, if you have one of those combo boxes, what you'll have to do is replace that with one for the phone if you want to keep your VoIP phone from your cable company. And then you'll have the Wi-Fi modem and router for your internet. And then you just go on and your TV, if it's connected to the Wi-Fi, and select the apps that you want to watch. Pay whatever fees is necessary to get the content.
Bill, I want to be sure we're clarifying this question. You do not need to keep any set-top boxes that they are providing. All you need is your actual modem, router, whatever combination, non-combination, to get your internet service. So as far as actual set-top boxes that Verizon or Cox or whoever provides, or Comcast, those you no longer need, generally speaking.
But you'll have to buy your own equipment, perhaps. I mean, router.
Right. I had to buy I bought my router, and
I did mine a long time ago, while I was still using the cable company.
yeah.
So I didn't have to pay the monthly fee.
Right.
Yeah, if you notice on my bill, I was paying equipment rental for my router, and I got rid of that too.
Yeah.
The next one is content streaming often exceeds my monthly allocation of 1.2 terabytes per month. Any low cost, zero cost internet content, or I guess what he has, he's on a
Metered connection.
metered connection. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't, what I would probably recommend is, what you're going to want to look at is SD and HD content. And some of these apps will have, in the settings, you'll be able to specify whether you want 4K, do you want HD, do you want SD, and they will allow you, as to what they stream to you. But other than that, I'm not sure how you would specify that.
The only thing you're gonna have to upgrade your internet in order to get more space. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things you have to consider when you are doing card cutting, is that the internet is crucial to your whole experience. So if you have crappy internet, you're not going to enjoy it, and it's not going to, it won't be worth it, in my opinion. Can one do mirroring with a Chromebook? Oh,
Sure. Yeah, it's Google.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is Roku TV a cable replacement service? like Sling TV and YouTube TV? Kinda.
No. Well, it's not
No?
really, well, it's not really,
It's a device that you need
oh,
to
no.
do it to work with one of the others.
Well, they have a channel on
Roku
there that
channel.
says
The Roku
Roku
Yeah.
channel.
They have one
Yeah.
free channel. Yeah.
Yeah, because now they are providing certain free channels.
Yeah.
Okay. But
And I-
so
So
yeah,
does
I
the
guess you
Fire
could.
Stick. The Fire Stick does too. Actually, you can get the Roku channel on the Fire Stick.
Okay,
Ah.
really?
Okay. And I do know on the Roku channel, there are some paid content. You can get some paid movies.
Yeah, right. You can pay, yeah, for other things. Yeah.
But as far as you won't be able to get the local channels on it without. Now, my TV, I have a Roku TV that has, if I put an antenna on it, I can get the local TV channels.
Yeah, or if you get Locast, if
Or
it's
local, you can
available.
get
If
Locast,
it's available.
right? But on this, on my Roku standalone TV that has Roku built in, there is, if I connect an antenna to it, I can pull in the local channels.
Now, a lot of
Sure.
these services will provide network streams, but they're not going to be your local network stream. So depending on your location, you may pick up the East Coast feed.
Yeah. Okay,
Or,
I've seen
you know,
some of
you
that.
may,
Yeah.
you may pick up the West Coast feed.
Mhm.
You know, but you're not going to be picking up. So if you're out to watch your local news for your regional area, that's probably not going to happen with some of these. You know, where you're going to need to use a local antenna, Locast, you know, whatever is available to you.
Okay, this is for all three of us. For all presenters, what is your total cost, and is it lower or more convenient than cable?
Huh. Without a doubt. As I said, my total, no, I don't include my internet service because I would have internet whether I did this or not. But I average in probably $50 a month compared to 150 that I was spending previously.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think I went down $100 a month.
Now, I think I went down $50 a month. But I just like the, I think I have more choice with my current situation than I had before.
I think so. I
So,
like that. Yeah.
I really enjoy being able to. And the secondly is that I can always go back and watch the 72 hour, as Rob mentioned. And then my big thing is that I really do enjoy taking my tablet or my laptop and sitting on my patio in the summer and watching TV. And for me, that's the convenience of it. I just really enjoy that. So I don't have to, go ahead.
You and I were talking yesterday, Bill, that, you know, most people start this because when they start it, it's all about saving money. That's kind of the focus. But what I have found that over time, as people get more involved and they discover that it's not so much about saving money anymore as it is about choices. And, you know, being able to watch what you want when you want to watch it. Personally, my attitude about this is I would rather get poked in the eye with a sharp stick as to watch a commercial. So, you know, I just don't do it. In fact, if I have the choice, I will pay an extra $2 a month so I don't get commercials on my content. So, you know, I don't mind paying for that. So.
Yeah. All right. MacBook Pros have Thunderbolt, and you can get the non-Apple adapter to connect out to the TV. Converts this is a comment. Converts Thunderbolt to the HDMI cable to TV HDMI. Okay. What do you need to be able to record streaming TV? Can I record Netflix?
Legally?
Yeah, I've never done that. But.
It's always there. I mean, the shows are pretty much, well,
Yeah,
Sometimes they go away after a couple months, I guess.
The answer is yes. It's just not legal to do so.
Too much
I,
trouble.
and Netflix does go in and periodically say this is
Yeah.
going to end
Yeah.
at a certain, but usually those movies are on there for at least a year or more.
They seem to move around. Netflix will have them for a while, and then somebody else will lease them, or whatever the word is, and have it available, and then someone else.
Yeah,
So it's always somewhere,
right.
or usually. Go to
then-
just watch and put it in, and you can see.
Essentially, you can use a screen capture software, and you can record anything you want on your screen. What you do with it after that's where things can get a little bit tricky.
Right.
This is another question. Is Apple TV the same as Fire Stick or Roku? And the answer would be yes.
Yeah, I think so.
They just charge more money. I mean, literally, it's like, I think an Apple TV device is like $150. You can pick up a Roku for $40.
Yeah.
And this comment says, I think Netflix has its own speed test. Do you know anything about it? Well, when you install Netflix, it's going to go in and check your network speed. And if it doesn't meet it, it's going to tell you.
Also, the speed test Netflix detects your network resources. And depending on the bandwidth available, it will adjust to the content that it sends. So whether it's high res, whether it's 4K, the new 8K coming out, so it tries to provide you the best experience as humanly possible with your available resources.
Yes, and also your Roku box, when you install it, it'll do the same thing. It'll test your network speed and give you a reading.
Bill, why don't we at this time go ahead and open things up?
Sure.
If there are questions that you have that we don't get to, because there might be a lull, you can always pop in a question and allow some time if there are some people that have comments and stuff. So as a reminder, before I turn on mics, rather than just turn on your mic and start talking, at the bottom of your screen, you have a reactions button that will allow you to choose raise hand. We're still over 100 and some people still with us. It's a lot easier to see a hand raised to be able to see who has a question to ask, and it also lets us do it in kind of an order. So I'm going to allow you to unmute when it's your turn. And we have a number of questions and people popping up. So Grace, go ahead and unmute and share with us.
Do you have any recommendations for the best modem to buy?
It depends on what service you're using. What I recommend most people do, depending on your service, talk to your neighbors, see what they're using. And I highly recommend that once you break it down to a model or two, go up there and check Google for reviews. And, a lot of it's based, on what you're able to, you got to do your due diligence. I spend about $150 for my modem router because I want the speed out of it. And I'm a strong believer in you get what you pay for.
I just replaced mine, and I read reviews online. I go to Amazon and read reviews and Google searches till my eyeballs fell out, but I finally just picked one, but so far so good.
Also, if you have a Best Buy in the area, you could go, they will have those usually on the shelf by the provider, and they say these work with Comcast or they work with Cox, and you might be able to glean some information from one of the one of the salespeople. That's another way of finding out what's available. And then, take that home and mull it over and then make a decision from there.
Don Van Stickle, how about you sharing with us?
Thank you. I'd like to comment on Tableau and Roku. I have 3 Rokus and I really like them. And one of the reasons I stuck with that is because I learned one thing and I don't have to switch my brain back and forth. The other thing about the Roku remote is that it's radio and not infrared. So you don't have to, pick it up and aim it at the TV or the Roku device, or if the Roku device is like behind something, it still works because it's radio. I also use a Tableau, and the nice thing about a Tableau is you can get models that are either 2-tuner or 4-tuner.
Right.
And so if you get the 2-tuner device, for instance, I can watch live TV on one tuner, and I can watch and be recording on another tuner.
Right.
Like with the 4-tuner, you can watch on 1 or 2 TV. You can use all 4 at the same time.
Right.
You only need 1 antenna. So
Right.
You get 1 antenna. So, and in my case, I'm north of Detroit. So when I aim in the general direction of the the TV antennas, I get them all. I don't have some on one side and some on another side, so I can just fix my antenna in one direction.
Good.
So good things to consider about Tableau and Roku. Thank you.
Yeah, I like Tableau real well. Even though I only have 2 channels.
All right, Jack Baum. Unmute.
Thank you. I had an original question, and but the discussion about the routers prompted an additional question. So let me ask that one first, since the original I have written. With regards to router selection, are you buy the device at that point in time, but are any of these devices upgradable so that as the technology improves, you can improve your router without having to buy a new device necessarily? That's my first question.
Some of them are, some of them you can upgrade the firmware.
Yeah, the software, yeah.
Within the modem router, whatever you're dealing with. And that you just need to go out and check the manufacturer's website, and it will be an actual software download and you'll install it onto the router. Generally, it's like I replaced mine a year ago only because I wanted both the 2G and 5G capabilities, which I did not have with my older router. So some technology is just going to get better, and you're going to end up either making the decision, yeah, I want that, or I don't need that. So
okay.
On my Linksys router, which I purchased a few months ago, within the app itself, it monitors the firmware. So it'll tell me if there's an update available and I can download it.
I think mine does that too.
Okay, second question, and this has kind of been touched on a little bit, but I didn't feel it was directly addressed. If I already have a cable service and I'm doing an equipment rental as well with that, like I have AT&T Uverse, is there any way that I can download, if I want to cut the cord, then I lose everything I recorded on their rental hard drive. So is there any way I can download these recordings onto an external DVR device so that I have them to replay another time?
I doubt it. I doubt it.
I mean, I'm sure there's a way to do it, because there's always a way to do it. But what you may want to do is some Google searches related to this subject, to see what other people have done. I would think, I'm assuming this is off a cable provided DVR.
Right.
So you can play that information back.
In real time.
Right. So I mean, I'm just like I can play something. So you may want to look at a possibility of I'm going to play my recorded content, but I'm going to run it through another DVR and record it. And I don't know if this will work. This is off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Same way that you would actually copy a VCR on a VHS tape to a VHS tape, or a beta tape to a VHS tape, you know, in the old days.
Yeah.
But something in that kind of configuration.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Janice Crump, unmute yourself.
Okay, well, thank you. My question, I guess, was kind of similar to Jack's. I was just curious as to how often you should update your router, or change, because I'm going through Spectrum and I'm using my own modem and not theirs, because I didn't want to pay that extra fee. But how often? It's about 5 years old now. So how often should we?
I've told individuals that if your router is more than 5 years old, you should update it. There are some new standards that are out on, like BLCIS is 3.1. That's the standard for the new modems. So that's something to look for. But if it's over 5 years old, it's probably not to that standard.
Okay. And my other question is for you, as far as your phone, because you were going through the list of, what you were deleting and all that. What about a Magic Jack?
I've been told that numerous times, and I still have my old phone. And I think somebody else wrote me a note that says, why don't you try UMA? Another one.
Yeah, the UMA's one I've heard of.
I have not been able to make myself do that yet, and I don't know why.
It will save you so much. I paid like $49 a year for my Magic Jack. The only thing is that if, of course, if your internet goes out, you lose that. But if you're using your cell phone as well, I use my my Magic Jack for calls that are coming in, and it's just as clear as I don't know. That's just my thing. I'm trying to save as much money as I can, and getting rid of my Verizon.
Well, the phone is my next project. I'm working on it, and I just haven't brought myself to do that yet. It took me years to move from an ATT landline to a VoIP. So
yeah,
I'm going to get there.
Yeah, it's worth it. I think it is worth it, especially you can use your cell phone as a backup if anything goes awry with your computer going out or internet going out or whatever. So I
really need to do that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Gary Ware.
Hi there. Mine's a kind of a basic question. Considering making the switch from the cable company, how does that actually work? For example, I'm considering mesh routers as something that I would purchase, but what else would I purchase or need to purchase, or what would I need to do with the cable company or whichever one of the Wi-Fi providers I go with to actually make the connections up?
Well, what I would suggest, first of all, you don't need to purchase anything, because you can use your computer to start doing some trials and just test this stuff out. Now, if you want to test this on an actual TV, you can pick up a Roku streaming stick, I think for around $40.
Or less, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or you can just wait until they have a sale, but so, and that's really the only thing you need other than Wi-Fi.
Okay.
And you are, because with the Roku device, it comes with a remote. And you go ahead and there are free apps as well. And most of these times when you buy a Roku device or an Amazon Fire Stick device, you're going to get a free trial with Netflix. You're going to get a free trial with Amazon, you know, and so you just need to be careful about when those trials expire. But other than that, I mean, you're pretty much set to go.
And our Roku will connect to almost any TV, even if you don't have the HDMI cables in the back of it. You can use the RCA jacks.
Okay.
Right. Neil.
Thank you.
Yes, hello. I have a question about the guide. Really looking at the YouTube TV Live and Hulu Live. I tried them both, and I'm using the YouTube Live. My frustration is really with the guide at this point, because when you have a cable guide, it's got whole descriptions, written out descriptions. You can type in, okay, I want to see what's on channel 120. And now I have to scroll through the whole guide to get to where I want to see what's on there today.
You're missing the spyglass. It's up there in the upper right. Click on the spyglass, and that's the search.
Okay, if I click on the spyglass, then I can say, okay, show me HBO?
Yeah.
Or how does that work?
It'll just search the list that's there.
It'll search the list. Okay.
It's, let me go here and see. I'll share my screen.
Okay.
Okay, here's a spyglass, and it comes up, and you can search live news. See, that's the one that's highlighted. But if you want to do search HBO, oh, sorry, then it comes up with HBO next. There's 5 networks. And there's everything that's on HBO.
Oh, I see. How about descriptions?
The descriptions, I think you actually have to click on the actual program, and you'll see the descriptions there.
I see. But you don't really, if you click on the live guide, that doesn't really do anything.
On the live guide, well, let me go back. The live guide is this one here.
Right.
And it also has a spyglass right there. Okay. And when you get the same, you go to the same place, really. I see. And then
go back to the live and see if you find a channel, does it tell you the description of what's going on?
Well, right here is KFR News. If I click on that, it's going to say the days of our lives, and
that's not probably a good one, because.
And there's the information right there. See where the eye is?
Okay.
It'll tell you where it is, what's going on.
Okay, that's interesting. All right. I'll have to play around with that.
I'm sorry?
Yeah. I'll have.
Yeah, it's Google, and they're going to, provide you with all kinds of search tools.
Generally speaking, the guides are probably what gets the greatest number of complaints. And it's not because they don't work well, it's because they just work differently.
Yeah, they're not intuitive.
Yeah, and they're not what you're used to seeing. So a lot of this is just, I'm sorry to say, we need to train our brains to work with what's available. And each service guide works differently, so you just kind of have 6 of one, half a dozen of another.
Yeah, train your eyes for the little clues. It's like if you see a circle with an eye, that's going to be information. So you can click on that, even though it looks like it's maybe static, but if you click on it, it'll expand and give you more information.
Okay, Gary O.
Unmute. Okay. My definition of cutting the cord to me means be simple and don't pay anything. So I've never had cable. I've never had a set-top box. I've always had an antenna in the attic. And now in my house, I've got an antenna in the attic, a Mohu, which is a very light, small, almost like a piece of paper, very light. You can stick it to a window if you want to. Best Buy has them. I stick mine up in the attic. I just hang it by a string. I have a splitter. I've got 5 TVs in my house running off that one antenna. And so I get all the local channels, high def. I don't have any of the other, Hulus and anything. I do get Netflix because of my brother.
I didn't hear that.
But for me, it's the simplest method. The cheapest method, I pay $0. I don't have any Fios TV from Verizon. All I have is the local is the internet. And then there's this site called antennaweb.com, and it tells you, if you put your address in, it tells you where to point your antenna to get the best reception, where the antenna farms are for wherever you want to get. So, and the other thing that I did was I bought a TiVo box that's specifically for over the air.
Yeah,
They
that's what Tableau does. Yeah.
But it is and I paid the full price, like $400 or something, because if you amortize it over the month for the 14 or 15 or whatever it is to rent or to get the TV guide part, I'm now getting it free basically because I've had it more than what the monthly cost would be for the full amount. So right now it's like $0 cost. So I get all the local channels, PBS and CBS, ABC, NBC, all that kind of stuff. So that's for anybody who wants to do it really simple. Put the antenna in the attic, run the cables through your heating duct. I put them through closets, and they're all kind of hidden nicely. 5 TVs running on one antenna, $0 cost.
No, and Gary, that's, if that makes you happy, then that's what you should do.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, cutting the cord to me is cutting the cord and not paying anything for all these other devices. I mean, I don't have time to watch all the other stuff. I mean, I watch too much, local TV anyway. So
yeah,
it's a good thing I don't do that. But that's just, nobody's mentioned the TiVo over the air box, which is really convenient because you can zip through commercials, tape things, beforehand. I tape a football game halfway through, and then I just zip through between hikes to see the game.
No, and I agree with you 100%, because cutting the cord may mean different things to every single person in this event right here.
Right.
And it is a very personal choice.
Right.
On how you want to spend your money, what you want to watch, in your free time, whatever that may be. So.
And it's easy to get to test out an antenna. Just go, I just go to Best Buy, get that Mohu antenna, which is so light and small, stick it on a window and see if you get anything. And if you don't get it too much, go to the next higher level in your house, or go to the antenna or to the attic, where you'll get your highest point of view toward the antenna. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Sorry.
Gary, can you repeat that antenna pointing app that you were talking about?
I think it's called Antenna Web, one word, .com.
It's antenna. I think it's .org.
.org? Oh.
I think so. I mean, I'm not sure.
Okay, I try either one, but it's very good at pointing where the antenna farms are.
How do you spell the name of your antenna? I spelled it M-O-H-O-O. Woohoo.
No, M-O-H-U.
Now
I
there's,
tried one of those. I still only got 2 channels, but too many trees.
Yeah, that's true. That's the big problem is, mountain or trees. That's,
now Judy, he has the name of that antenna in the chat. M-O-H-O. I mean, M-O-H-U, excuse me.
Like the way I spelled it.
Yeah.
Yeah, M-O-H-U. Yeah. Okay, Stu.
Good to see you.
I just wanted to mention that we've been talking like internet for, we're talking about being delivered by a cable company. There's a lot of mobile solutions today where you can get a hotspot and get acceptable signals for streaming. I've found that I can stream probably well enough that I can watch my stream signals. Where I miss the cable signal is for my computer when I want to download things and when I want to upload things. Your upload speed is pretty poor, but as long as you get in the double digits with your speed, if you get over 10 megabits per second, you can get at least an SD signal on your TVs. And I've run 2 or 3 of them with not the best location for my hotspot, but it works well.
Are you able to, it all depends on your provider, if you have unlimited data on your hotspot. If not, you run up a huge, you can run up a really huge bill using a mobile device as a streaming.
My hotspot has unlimited service. But what they really do is after you get over a terabyte, they slow you down.
I've heard of that.
You don't want to be in that over a terabyte. So you just have to make sure that in your billing cycle, you don't blow it all the first week. And then the next 3 weeks, you're stuck with a slow signal.
No, it's referred to as throttling.
Yes, it sure is. Right.
Okay, Dale, I'm going to give you a question before you share what you have. And somebody went to Amazon after you talked about the TV Fire Stick that I posted. And Amazon says that it's unavailable. And we don't know when or if this item will be back in stock. Do you have a place that you found yours or suggest where we could go to find one if we wanted one of those fire
You're
sticks?
talking about the fire stick? Oh.
Yeah, the fire TV stick. Amazon says
they're bought out. Maybe they're redesigning it. I have about 5 of them, and I bought them all on that. I bought some from Staples. Sometimes they have them on sale.
But they were marked down because they're clearing them out for a new model.
Yeah. So So I mean, but it does have a voice remote. We use it anywhere, no matter where we go. Like if we're at a condo or or a hotel or whatever. So it works great, So it just depends on your internet speed. Like hotels, they charge so much for high-speed internet to get anything worthwhile. So that's what that was. What I wanted to ask is for a hotspot, what's the best modem router to use? I have a NetHawk X65 AC 3600 tri-band Wi-Fi router, and I have a Nighthawk CM100 multi-gig speed cable modem just waiting to be used. And I want to set up an RV with a hotspot, and I'm so that I can get put my SIM card in there, get my phone service, all that kind of thing. So I was just wondering what your recommendations would be for that.
It's going to be dependent on your phone service, And a lot of people use these little mini, I forgot what they call them. It's not necessarily using your phone, but Verizon offers a mobile hotspot that's like, looks like a little, about the size of a cell phone, but it's a device you buy separately and you pay separately for it. And AT&T, I think, have those.
Yeah, I saw the Verizon one, and they also, I guess Verizon in some of its mobile, what do you call it? Mobile packages provides a hotspot up to a certain amount, and then I guess you can expand on it. I
Yeah,
was
well,
looking into.
I mean, I wouldn't rely on the one on your phone. I would buy a separate one for if you're going to put in your mobile
SIM card.
your mobile home. Yeah.
Oh, mobile, yeah. So
And not rely on the one that's in your cell phone. Because
so what
first
are
of all,
some of the brands and where do I get the separate ones that are not connected with a?
well, T-Mobile has them, Verizon has them, AT&T. You have to go to your provider, but you don't necessarily have to go to the one that's the provider that's providing your cell phone service. You can shop around between the different services that's in your area.
Oh, okay, so I mean, even though it's I guess that's why I was getting confused. Even though it's a mobile phone outlet, you can buy a separate hotspot that has nothing to do with your mobile phone.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
Judy.
I just want to say that I quickly scrolled and there's 8 people who are getting nothing.
I was going to say that, but sounds better from you.
Oh.
Yeah, we don't know who you are.
But they want to know who I.
Well,
Okay.
I'm sure John has told them why several times now, and they're all adults and grown-ups.
Well, they may have came in late.
Okay. Gary, I know you saw that you've got a PS.
Yes. Sandee said she didn't get some over-the-air stations, but make sure when you get an antenna that it gets both UHF and VHF.
Mm-hmm.
In my area, one of the stations is like one or the other, and if you didn't get an antenna that will receive both,
Right. Yeah.
you're going to miss some stations.
I think it's CBS has to be the difference.
Yeah. So when you get an antenna, just make sure it has both. That's all.
Okay. Rick.
Yeah, everybody was talking about the TVs, and I'm new to this part of it because, you know, I'm going to cut the cord. My wife enjoys the TV and she uses it a lot, but I actually have a VPN and I watch TV all over the world. So if anybody speaks other languages, or, you know, if you speak Italian or a little German or, you know, whatever it is, you can find pretty much TV with a VPN anywhere in the world, from sports. And there's a lot, just like you have the free streaming services here, like Fubo and Pluto, like Europe has Zatu. They have all kinds of channels, and almost every single country you can find content in English.
Good. I've got a point. You're talking about those hotspots, Bill, and Carl pointed out that if she goes to a different provider, she'll have to have a separate phone number for that hotspot, probably.
That's a true statement. But it's not one that you get a phone call on.
But she would have to pay for that extra line. So she'd have to compare the cost of getting a modem from her provider that wouldn't have an extra line to pay for, as opposed to going to a different provider, paying for a new line. And
no, she's going to have to add a line anyway for the new hotspot.
Oh, okay. I don't have one, so that was new to me.
So so she'll get another that new hotspot will have its own phone number.
Okay, so that's not a factor. It's just
that's not a factor at all. Yeah, so she can shop around.
She'll get another one then. I'd like to report to the panel that said, let's see, it was Paula said she cut the cord 8 years ago, but she learned stuff today.
Well, good. Glad to hear it.
Oh, great.
Bill, anything else as we finish up?
As far as questions,
Let us go another couple minutes. And Gary said, get one with an amplifier on the hotspot.
well, this is a good question. Can two antennas be connected to cover different directions for better reception?
Yeah, I would say you could. You would have to multiplex the signals coming off each antenna into one feed. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same thing they do with traditional satellite TV where you got more than one dish. It's just getting multiplexed and then into that control box. So yeah, why not? Why stop at 2? Go to 5.
Yeah. Well, at least 4, northeast, southwest.
Exactly, yeah.
Go ahead, Judy.
It looks to me like Rick was nodding his head yes.
Yeah.
Dale? You had another comment?
Yes, I wanted to know, everybody keeps talking about DVRs and TiVos and stuff like that to make recordings. Where did you buy that? Is it online? And are there certain brand names, or is it just called TiVo or DVR?
TiVo is a brand.
Okay. So you just go online and get it?
Well, you can search for it online. I'm sure you'll find places to buy them.
Tableau is one, and Amazon has one. Can't think what it's called, Fire or something probably. And then I think there's one called Replay or something.
Yeah.
Replay.
Replay?
I think that's the right name.
Yeah, but there's a number of them out there, yeah.
Oh.
TiVo's probably been out the longest. I think they're probably the
I've heard of that a long time.
established. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
TiVo was the first. They started the entire DVR industry.
Right.
Remember way back then.
The olden days.
Let's not even go there, okay?
Yeah.
You know?
Unfortunately, the olden days is probably 10 years ago.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
We're not talking. Gary says the TiVos are at Best Buy. So, Dale, you can go check there too. Judy, anything last minute since you've been gone? Yes. And welcome back.
Rick has his hand raised.
Oh, go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, I have one more question about the TiVos. Has anybody ever tried to repurpose like the older TiVos to get them to work with the new content? Is there anybody ever done that? Any electronic techies?
Good question.
Not personally.
You mean going from analog to digital?
Yeah. And switching that over, like using a cable box to convert it. Like we used to, actually, I've been doing the TV on the computer since they had the TV card, and you plugged your cable into it and you had digital TV long before anybody. And I didn't know if anybody ever tried to take the old TiVo boxes and try to repurpose them so they don't, they don't get recycled. You're recycling them yourself by using them still.
No.
No, I personally haven't, but I mean, I would think that you could probably do it. I mean, because the content is just getting saved to an internal hard drive. And that's,
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Judy, anything? End up our Wednesday workshop?
Oh, shoot. I'm still got all these people that aren't going to get anything, and that really bothers me. But no, next you talked about it. Next week is Linux, then
you had
and then our May 1st VTC, and we have 6 good sessions. Information will be sent out about that, and with that, you only have to register once for all of the sessions, and then it's not like this. You get to choose 3 of those 6 sessions that you want to attend.
Well, one from each category on the track, because you can't pick two at the same time. Judy, you had a note to me to remind you about speed test.
Oh, I know, that was just, when you give me your chat box.
Okay.
It's gonna be in there.
Okay.
Oh, I thought I was so clever the way I did that.
You did, because
Okay.
it's going to get saved. Bill, don't forget to save your
I
chat.
just saved mine, but I have a
Um,
question here. Does anyone here familiar with Karma Go? KARMAGO. There's a question. Do you have to purchase a hotspot device from Karma Go to use the service? I'm not familiar with Karma Go.
No, I'm not either, Bill.
Carol Picard is the one that asked that question. Carol, are you here?
Yep, she's here.
Can you explain what Karma Go is, please?
Got to unmute Carol if you can. Maybe she is unable to. Well,
We'll have to research it.
Yeah.
It is a hotspot.
But also, she's alluding that it's a service as well.
We'll research it and it'll be in the stuff that's sent out to everybody whose first and last name is on their thumbnail.
So we know, find you, match you up. All right. I'd like to thank everybody for attending today. We had a very good turnout. Quite a lot of stuff. I think everybody will probably want to watch the video again or go through at least the slideshows, because that's a lot of information. And I think Rob's big point was a lot of people, you're not going to save the money you thought, but you're going to have the choices that you want. So I think that was a key thing that I came out with. We'll be back again next Wednesday, the following Wednesday, and then May 1st. And we'll see everybody. You will get the email that will let you know that we have the video uploaded to our unlisted site, and then later on it'll go public. So,
Maddie, do you know how to? Do you know how to? Do you know how to rename yourself?
Go ahead, Judy. Well,
it's my turn to talk now. Okay. If you have any ideas for workshops, you know, we're kind of running out of ideas. And if you have some topic that you really would like to talk about, we don't bite. We all, you know, let warts and all hang out with giving presentations and things like that. We can always try to put a panel together. We're working on various and sundry ideas, one of them being hardware. We have somebody who will be talking about 3D printers, and John will tell you the other one. If you have a piece of hardware that you use that you think people would be interested in, we need at least one other person to talk about and put a presentation together or not about something that you use that you think's the cat's meow. And John, what is Rich's hardware?
The CDC router. And he was talking about something that's similar to the Cricket that computer uses to cut things out and things like that. I can't think what the other.
Keep us in mind, if the light bulb goes on, you all have my email address ad nauseum, because I send out all the emails. So let us know. We'd love it.